everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Elevate with C&M Coaching. My name's Maggie. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today, I want to talk to you about mastering the art of word tracks, unlocking your sales potential. This specific podcast is going to be dedicated to helping those of you who actually sell cars to be able to sell more cars, make more money, and use these proven strategies of word tracks, which are all completely rooted in customer psychology. So today I want to talk a little bit about the details behind this because a lot of times we work with experienced salespeople. And I understand that it's really easy to feel like if you've been doing this for a while, you know everything. I understand that. I have been doing this for 15 years. I sometimes feel like I know everything, but the fact is I don't. And I'm still occasionally surprised by some of the audio files that my team sends me. But the truth is, there's always something we can learn from someone else. And why not take advantage of the opportunity that you have in front of you to work with a very experienced coach who has heard it all and seen it all. And that is what we are here to talk about today and how we can help you and maybe help you think a little bit more about why scripts exist and what C&M Coaching specifically can do to help you if you're a salesperson trying to follow our process. Using a word track can really help you level up your sales game, book more appointments, drive more cars off the lot, all while making your life significantly easier. Let me give you an example. A customer calls up, they ask, "Hey, I'm looking at this vehicle. Can you tell me what the down payment is?" And you tell them everything they want to know. You talk about their credit, you talk about the application process, you give them the miles, you give them the price, you tell them the down payment, the monthly payment, and they end up hanging up saying, "Thanks, I'm going to think about it." Does that sound familiar? Because that is what we see happen time and time again, particularly when we answer way too many questions over the phone. And that is something that we see all too often. If you just start answering pricing questions and availability questions up front, leaving the caller with no reason to visit the dealership, then what was the purpose of the conversation? And I often like people to think about the fact that it does cost money for the phone to ring. So think about your own sales call and think about the quality of the call and the outcome, and then ask yourself, would I pay $300 for that phone call I just took? Was that phone call worth $100, $50, $5? Would you pay for it at all? The other thing I think is really important is we all have a tendency to try to wing it because we think that we know what to do, especially again, if you're really experienced or you sell a lot of cars in person. But it's important to remember that selling cars in person and selling cars over the phone are two completely different things because ultimately your first initial contact with that customer on the phone is not designed to sell them a car. It's designed to sell them yourself. It's designed to get that customer in the door so that at the end of the day, you can sell them something when they're in front of you. One of the other things that we see frequently happen when we don't follow a script is we fail to steer the conversation in the right direction. You know, if you have a customer that asks a lot of questions, we sometimes fall into this trap of feeling like if we don't answer them, we're not providing good customer service. And I unfortunately do see that happen quite frequently, but customer service is different over the phone than it is in person. If a customer shows up to the store and they want you to do a walk around of the vehicle and you say, "Nah, let's just sign the paperwork first," that would be weird. But over the phone, your goal is to establish a relationship, build rapport, get the customer to like you, and then from there, encourage them to come in where you can do that work of selling them and providing that customer service specifics when they're actually in front of you. You want to go over these details in person. Now, one of the other things that I also think is really important is that people don't understand the psychology behind a word track. If you think about a customer calling up and asking, "What's the price of a vehicle?" They're actually saying, "Can I afford this? Can I trust this dealership? Can I trust this salesperson? Is this in my price range? Am I making a good decision?" So sometimes you want to read between the lines when it comes to what a customer is actually asking you and what that really means. And that can be difficult to do if you're not following a word track. And our word track is designed to be broken down into 3 different types of calls that you're going to experience: specific vehicle calls, generic vehicle calls, and finance or challenged credit calls. That way, your response is tailored to your customer's questions and helps you read between the lines. It's also really important that you role play with each other, and people don't like doing that because it feels weird. But if you really practice and you sound professional and polished, it's going to be a lot easier for you to follow a process. And a lot of times people feel robotic. Oh, a script is going to make me feel robotic. No, just like learning something for a play in school or practicing, if you're, religious, you learn a prayer, right? All of these things are things that you commit to memory. And then you want to work from there to adapt to the tone and the pace that your personality matches while still sticking to the structure. So, we completely encourage you to use real life examples in your sales calls to help pull the customer in and connect you with the customer, and then use your vocal tone to still follow the structure and the process and not sound robotic. But that comes with practice. You can't just wing it. It all ties together. It's going to help you boost your confidence because repeating proven phrases make it much easier for you to handle any objections. It's going to save you time because you're going to have streamlined conversations, which are going to lead to more appointments. And the more consistent you are, the better it is for your customers because everyone's going to get a high quality experience from you. And you're learning from someone who knows the customer psychology behind a script and has dedicated experience to teaching methods that actually work and help you improve your phone skills. And the end goal is to get the customer in the door where you can close the sale effectively. All of these things to me, they make so much sense, but I'm on the other side of the fence. So if I'm a salesperson, I'm going to be thinking about what I can do to get more people in the door, but sometimes we get into our own heads and we get stuck in our head and we forget that we can learn from others. Like that's why conferences exist. That's why there's classes out there. That's why there's very well respected sales trainers in the field, because this stuff does work and everybody has something to teach someone else. So if you think about the result and the benefits of sticking to that word track and how it can help you in the end make you sound more authentic, relaxed, and prepared, then that's going to be a win for everyone. The one thing I always kind of forget to mention is the length of sales calls, because when you follow a word track, your sales call is going to be somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes, maybe 5 if you have a lot of questions to ask the customer, but you're never going to be on the phone for 10 to 12 minutes, especially if you practice your objection handling techniques. And so if you think about the fact that you could probably do 2 calls using the word track in the amount of time that it takes us to make 1 call if we wing it, that's a pretty big deal. Think about doubling your productivity and the number of calls that you're making every single day. Studies have shown that word tracks can actually shorten calls by 30% while maintaining a high quality, and that's because you're prepared. You're able to handle objections. If a customer says, "Oh, I'm just looking right now," if you know what to say and you have a prepared plan and a prepared path forward, it's going to be significantly easier for you to overcome that objection on the fly, especially if you know your script by heart. So I really think it's important to record yourself using your word track and then play it back to yourself and then assess. Adjust your tone and your energy where necessary, and think about the pronunciation of different words or the way that your voice rises and falls in certain areas. It's also really important for you to personalize your conversations when you're on the phone. We're not looking to create robots, but what we are trying to do is develop a process that helps you make your calls more efficient, effective, and productive. But at the same time, you still have to practice active listening and prepare yourself to listen to your customers' needs, and then make sure that you sound empathetic, but also familiar with the situation the customer is experiencing. And you can use their experience and a previous experience you have to make the customer feel more at ease. And that really works well when you have a situation where you have a customer that's concerned about their credit, or they've been through a bankruptcy or a divorce or something that has really ruined their credit, and you've seen a similar situation and it worked out well. That helps to boost that customer's confidence in their own ability. So sharing those success stories are really important so your customer can feel closer to not only you, but also closer to financing and getting approved and getting that vehicle, which is, of course, what we want. I really think when it comes to following a word track or having resistance to using a word track, I explained earlier, sometimes people just feel like they already have all the answers or they already know everything, or that word tracks just don't work because they sound robotic. But you have to have that mindset shift. Word tracks aren't scripts. their strategies. And in what industry is there not a strategy for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish? I'll wait, because there isn't a single job on this planet that doesn't have some type of a strategy or a plan to accomplish its goal. You can't tell me that salespeople don't have on the lot strategies. So, how is it any different than having a phone strategy? Think about a chef using a recipe. The goal here is consistency, not restriction. It's not about excluding ingredients, it's about including ingredients that make for a successful recipe. The goal is to make sure that every time they make that chicken parm, it comes out perfect. Every time they make fresh pasta, it tastes amazing. And they do it by being consistent and following a set process. And if you're not, a cook, think about baking. It's the same thing. Like a little extra flour makes a huge difference. It can make some things dry. Too much sugar can make things too sweet. Or if you're like me and you accidentally make pancakes with baking soda instead of baking powder, your family will never let you live it down because they were the saltiest pancakes on the planet. But it just goes to show you how altering one little tiny thing, whether it's a recipe or whether it's your sales call, can impact the quality of the product or the results. And that happens a lot, especially when we answer too many questions up front, like I addressed earlier, or giving out pricing information or mileage information. Keeping on the cooking theme, I would like to think of a bad sales call as those weird recipes that have tuna and gelatin in them. Because why? Just why in the 60s and 70s did we think we needed to put everything in a jello mold? They're gross, right? And when you listen to a sales call that isn't so great, that should get tossed out with the tuna jello recipe. It should just not be a thing anymore. And it doesn't have to be a thing. Sales calls don't have to be bad. If you make something and it doesn't taste great, you never make it again. So why is it that we repeatedly have poor sales call after poor sales call and don't understand the need for improvement or want to accept help for improvement? I was at Used Car Week a couple of weeks ago, and I went through a series of text messages that I would love to do a podcast on, and I may potentially do, but I just want to give you kind of the brief roundup. Things started off fairly smooth. We never picked up the phone and called the customer, which was the downside to the entire thing, but it started off relatively smooth. The customer did an application. Things looked really good. In the end, we ended up giving her monthly pricing information, monthly insurance quote, so her collateral protection insurance coverage quote, and the payment ended up being too high. We demanded a little bit more money down and it resulted in nothing. The customer ended up canceling their appointment and there was no sale. That is an example of how changing one small ingredient in your conversation can negatively impact the outcome. And in this case, it was giving out too much information over the phone. Most dealerships, when they follow a word track or a process, they can expect to see about a 70% appointment set ratio. Usually when a client comes to us at first, they're below 30%. Most of the stores are 10, 15, 20. Sometimes we see a 30% appointment set ratio. We're shooting for 70 or higher. We have stores that are at 90 and 100. It depends on your level of dedication, but this isn't very difficult. Like, we are definitely not doing literal brain surgery here. This is as simple as following a recipe and just sticking to that mindset that this is data-driven proof. Word tracks work. They can shorten my conversation by 30%. They can help me set more appointments and get more customers in the door, all while providing me the experience that I need to be able to handle objections and deliver a solid sales experience to the customer. And that's really what it's about. The other thing too is if you think about one extra appointment every single day, let's just say you use this script for 1 month straight and you set one more appointment every single day. I want you to think about what it means for you, for your commission, to sell 20 extra cars a month. Let's just say your commission is $150. That's $3,000 extra dollars in your pocket for each car that you've sold. Hopefully you have a great commission plan, but think about that. One more appointment a day could mean 20 extra sales a month. So just take the leap of faith, give it a shot. What do you have to lose? If anything, you may end up having more appointments than you can handle and you have to split more deals. But in the end, this is about bringing customers in the door. This is about setting more appointments and really doing everything that we can to get that customer service up while increasing our revenue because we're providing better customer service. There is something else here that I think we need to address, and that is the fact that when people say, I just want to do what I want to do, or I already know it, I'm good on the phone, I'm just going to wing it because it's already working for me. I want you to think about the quality of the customer that you're winging it with and your success rate with those customers versus your success rate with a customer with a little bit better score, like a 580 or a 600 or somebody up there. If we're only selling appointments to people who are in the 400s and, really low bad credit, then what is the quality of that sale? And then how can using a word track and a structure and a process improve not only our skills, but the customer that we're actually selling the car to? We're looking for that higher quality customer. So when you sell the low hanging fruit, that's not going to be your bill payer. But when you follow the script and you do really well with the customers that maybe need a little bit more convincing and you're trained on it and you are experienced at overcoming those objections and you sound confident with your word track, you're going to sell a better paying customer, which in the long run is what we all want. And I have to give credit to my friend Michael Harris because he is the one that reminded me of this fact when he said to me, these are the customers that are at the bottom of the barrel that we're selling these appointments to. I want a better customer. I want a customer that is cool with being on auto pay and I don't have to worry about their payment every month. And that is 100% true. And those customers are harder to get, but not if you follow a process and you use a script. So he gets all the credit for reminding me that I need to say this to people more often because it's not just about being better on the phone. It's also about getting better customers with your better skills. Commit yourself to a month, commit yourself to a week, commit yourself to a day, commit yourself to an hour. I want you to take that chance and commit yourself. I want you to challenge yourself to fully embrace it for a period of time. I want you to role play, practice objections with your favorite coworker or your spouse or your best friend or your kids. There's always somebody out there willing to help you learn. And then when you have a win, when you have an appointment or you overcome an objection, share that with us, share that with your coach, share that with your management team. Even, go as far as to say, hey, I had a really great call. Can we play this for the sales team? Because that motivation can help others. Always remember that having this word track is going to be a secret weapon in your pocket. Now, it's not here to replace your personality, but it's here to enhance the impact that you have on the customer while being consistent and also learning techniques that help you overcome objections. Just try using one word track consistently and see the difference, and then reach out to us, reach out to your coach. And if you're struggling with a specific step, that's what they're here for. All of us together have more experience than I can even count. I was trying to figure out how many calls I had coached over the last 15 years because at one point in my career, I was coaching around 400 to 500 calls a month, plus doing one-on-one training coaches and managing a team and internet mystery shops. And so I've tried to figure out exactly how many calls I personally have coached over the year, and then to try to add in my team, which most of them have over 10 years experience coaching calls. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of calls that we have collectively reviewed. So there isn't any situation that we can't help you accomplish. It's just a matter of putting your guard down a little bit and getting over that mindset that there's nothing anyone else can teach you, and listen to the coach who has the experience and the expertise doing nothing but sales calls. If you think about the fact that you may take 10 or 15 sales calls a day, that coach has coached 30 or 40 sales calls a day for the last 10 years. So they have effectively heard double, sometimes even triple the number of phone calls that you have. And that doesn't count the one-on-one training that they're doing or the internet mystery shops where they're actually playing the role of the customer and then flipping it around and coaching the call. That doesn't include calls that we share with each other or learn from, or different topics that we've talked about or discussed, within our own coaching team. I mean, these are people who are most of the time listening to 2 or 3 times as many phone calls as you yourself are handling. So the experience is here and they have the success stories. And if you feel like you're struggling, just reach out to them. That's what they are here for. So just remember that word track is your secret weapon. Try to follow it consistently. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, and that really helps you to make sure that you are on track. You can't say that something doesn't work if you don't try it, right? Because we are here to help you empower yourself to succeed. We are here to help empower you to succeed. We are here to encourage you to be successful. Most of the time, the stuff that we have to do that is uncomfortable, like role playing or learning a script, it oftentimes is what works the best for you. There's a reason that it's a little bit awkward and uncomfortable at first. It's because it's brand new and you're learning it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to learn it. And you do have to get out of your comfort zone just a little bit. So let's try to focus up. Let's try to really work on overcoming that resistance to your word tracks. Remember that there is a very strong relationship between your phone skills and making more money. We're looking for efficiency. We're looking for results here. And just commit to yourself, commit to us, commit to your manager, commit to the owner of your dealership. Whoever thought that training was a great idea is literally investing in you. They are investing in you. And there are things that you can take away. Even if you leave the car business, there are so many things you can take away from learning the customer psychology behind the word track and apply to other careers. I mean, I've trained people who sell chimney cleanings because the process is no different. The bones and the structure of a word track don't change. It doesn't matter what it is you're trying to sell over the phone. There are certain aspects of the conversation that need to occur, and that is what we develop for you guys in your own custom word track. So commit to yourself, give it a shot. I'm serious. You have absolutely nothing to lose. And it's okay to feel like you know everything, but remember that no one does. No single person on this planet knows everything. And when you have a team of coaches behind you, rooting you on, rooting for your success, that's when everybody wins. And we are here to support you. So if there's anything that you need from any of us here at C&M Coaching, please reach out to us. But just remember, mastering the art of word tracks will help you unlock your sales potential. And you can do this. Not difficult, I swear. I'm going to try to record a podcast on that text thread because texting is something that is really prevalent right now. Everybody's kind of chit-chatting about, oh, should we be texting or should we be calling? Or we're using AI to text our customers initially. And then once that, like people are using Tacobi for the AI, that's great. So I think I'm going to try to record a podcast for us next week to release on that topic because it is a very important chain of events that occurred with that text thread. And I believe that we are also going to be releasing some of those text messages as well on our Facebook page. So that would be a great compilation together if I release that podcast with those text threads because I want to see us do better. I want to see us, if we're going to text, I want to see the texts much better than they are currently. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Elevate with C&M Coaching. I hope that you learned something today, and I want to see everybody give it 110% because there is literally no reason to not try. Have a great day.